Happy Friday, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, the show where we try to help you get your real estate wealth on. Joining me today, as always, is my buddy, my pal, Mr. Luis Alejandro Lopez. Myself, I am Hector Hernandez, a real estate fund manager, as well as real estate and wealth building coach right here on reallifetrading.com. Luis, what you got on the agenda today? How are we going to close out this year with a bang?
Oh man, this is going to be so good. So, first of all, hello everyone. My name is Luis Alejandro Lopez. I'm a real estate investing coach here in Real Life Trading, and we got a great show for you today. We are doing AMA, Ask Us Anything. So, Hector, what do you want me to ask you about?
No, I'm glad you clarified because when you were like AMA, I'm like, I'm gonna have to Google that, bro. Like,
Man,
I'm not cool and hip with the acronyms. I'm glad you said the whole thing this time.
welcome to 2013, bro. All right. Before we say anything, disclaimer, let's do it short this time. We are two guys on the internet. We've done a whole bunch of stuff. We flipped a whole bunch of homes. We have rentals. We have this. We have done a few things, and we try to show you how to do it. But before you do anything, please be careful. Please be mindful of what you're doing, mindful of what you're signing, mindful of what you click. Don't send a wire, just to Santa Claus today or something like that. Be careful if you have any questions, if you don't know what you're doing, if just reach out to a friend, reach out to someone, or you can reach out to us here. QR codes for me, QR codes for Hector. Any questions you might have besides this ones that we're going to be answering today, reach out to us. If you want us to look at your deals, if you have a deal coming, if you have money and want to put it on a deal, reach out to us as well. All right.
I'll
So
take some money.
pick up the
Always,
phone.
anytime.
Nobody calls no more. Now it's text and WhatsApp. So text and WhatsApp. All right. And let's roll into it.
Hold on, we gotta address that new meme that you put on the screen because
The
that
new
one was
meme. There you go.
good. What was it? So you can't buy happiness, but you could buy real estate. And I mean, I do agree with this one. That was a good one,
The
dude. It's
same thing.
basically
Real
the
estate
same
brings you
thing,
happiness
you know?
as long as the toilets don't mess up.
And it's cash flow
But you're not
positive.
responsible for them. All right. So questions. We got a few. We asked you guys on Slack. We got a few questions back. We got a couple people also, they're gonna be coming and asking. So the first one that we have, let me stop here.
Before you go too far into that, by the way, team, everyone who is here live, you're all invited to throw in your questions in the chat. We are happy to ask them, to ask them to answer them. It helps a lot if they are real estate related. It's kind of what we have a little bit more knowledge about. But by all means, shoot any questions you got.
That's right. Why always the toilet? Because it's dramatic. It's very dramatic. Every time something floods, you know what it is. And it's usually the tenant issue for the most part. So that's why it's always the toilet. All right, we're getting questions here in the chat, so let's roll on with them first.
Go for it. Fire away.
Go for it. First one is commercial property. You're the most familiar with commercial property. How do you feel about ground leases for commercial property to a national chain? What kind of terms should I ask for? I have 2.3 acres in a major thoroughfare in my city. That's amazing. All right,
That's
start it and
great.
then I'll go over.
That's absolutely amazing. So ground leases are like considered almost like the core of all core investments. They're very low risk. You are essentially land banking, and at the end of the lease, they tend to be pretty long, but at the end of the lease, should you choose not to renew, it's still your dirt. So they are considered up there with some of the safest investments. I will tell you some of the pros, right? Like I said, very safe. You're not building any structures on it. You're letting them spend their money to build the structure, and you're maintaining ownership of the land. The negative about them is that you don't get that very cool depreciation tax benefit. Now, being that you already own the dirt, I don't foresee you being investing for the tax benefit. You're already on the dirt. You want to make a cash flow. You want to play out. So I would absolutely say that land lease is probably your better bet, so you can retain again that dirt, which is very, very valuable. There's still some areas in some like Jersey and New York that you could buy the property, but the dirt belongs to somebody else that owns it for many years, and they're gonna keep it and they're gonna keep rolling it around. Now, In terms of what kind of terms should you ask for, it's really impossible for me to answer that because real estate is very specific to where you're at, geographically located, right? What state, what city these major road is on. So what I would suggest is that you contact three brokers that specifically deal in land leases with major chains, or at the very least in the sale of these types of properties. So you can find brokers in that area that are dealing and selling Walgreens, that are dealing and selling the big corner gas stations. Those guys are going to know exactly what these properties are trading for in your market. I would urge you to contact two or three of them just so that you get varying opinions and they inform you and you learn a ton from them. They're all going to want your business. So they probably won't charge you anything. If they do, they'll charge you a small fee for a broker's price opinion if you want something elaborate, but more than likely they're willing to do it for a chance of earning your business. I hope that answers your question, Chris. Fire away the next one if you want.
We got another question from Cindy, and we have Chris with a follow-up. Let's do the follow-up with Chris, and
Yeah.
then we're going to Cindy. So how long should I hold it before I try to sell it to a third party? And how would I calculate its worth? Again, broker. If
Yep.
I
That
hold it
broker.
two
So
to
so go ahead, Lou. Go ahead.
yeah, if I hold it 2 to 3 years and a new building is built on site with 10, 15 years on the lease, do you suggest that I sell in 2 or 3 years? Maybe.
So
Again,
if you're holding the dirt and they're going to build, they're probably going to want a slightly longer lease. They're probably going to
yeah,
want 20 to 30 years. And usually it's 30 to 50 because they want to make sure that the useful life of that building that they're going to spend a ton of money building is completely gone and it's fully depreciated. So you're probably looking at a longer lease. The way that you're going to calculate the value is going to be on cap rate. Again, that same broker is going to tell you, hey, these things are selling for this cap. It's usually a very low cap because again, it's so secure. Depending on who that major tenant is, you're probably like sub five for the most part, is what I see. It's very, very low cap, which is good for you. That means it's valued very high. So, I would just reach out to those brokers, and if they do a 30 to 50-year lease, yeah, anywhere after the building is fully built out, it's you let it cash flow for 2 or 3 years, and after that, that's when you're ready to rock and roll and exit. The perfect time to exit it is going to be when the perfect economy hits too. So the nice thing is these guys are going to have a very long lease. It's going to take them a couple of years to build out whatever they're going to build out. So we'll get past whatever happens now, whatever hump we're gonna about to experience in the economy, which should come at some point. And then, during the
not
next
for to spy.
good time, hopefully, right, during the next good wave in the next, I don't know, call it the next 5 years, anytime around there when interest rates are nice, remember your buyer is their cash flow depends on the rates. So, the better that the economy is, the lower that the rates are, the more that
The value
that
goes up.
property is going to be worth and the lower the cap rate is going to go. Louis, what are you? Feel free to add
All
something to
right,
that.
Cindy. Cindy's asking us, are you familiar with financing your home with a HELOC? Yes, very familiar. Actually, one of the questions that we have is that one. Now, you want to finance your whole home in a HELOC, or you want to take a HELOC out of your house to buy a next one? That's the difference, okay? Usually, banks do not give you a full HELOC to buy a property, okay? That usually is not very common. They want to have the security and they want to be usually what is called first position, meaning that if anything would happen to you, then they can take back the property. Now, a HELOC, in the sense, is made as a line of credit, okay? That's basically what it is. So you can take the money, you basically have nice equity in your home, you pull a HELOC, and then you basically have a huge credit card, which is secured by your home. Now you can do that. You have equity in your house. Instead of pulling a whole new mortgage, you get a HELOC. You take some money for a down payment. Boom, buy your investment property. And once you buy your investment property, the proceeds for the investment you can use them to repay your HELOC. Okay, basically it's gonna behave kind of like a credit card with a very low interest rate compared to a regular credit card. And it's also the amount is going to depend on the amount that you have in equity in your home. A lot of people do that. Now, we were talking about, because we got another question, which is what's an adjustable mortgage? Okay, adjustable rate mortgage. HELOCs, for the nature, are usually adjustable rate mortgages. Okay, meaning that the rate is going to change usually once per year, usually in your due date when you have your year from having your mortgage. It recalculates and figures out, depending if it's a LIBOR or depending on whatever the different guidelines, okay, but usually readjust on the same date of the birthday of your mortgage. Okay, so if the rates go up, your HELOC is going to go up. If the rates go down, obviously your HELOC is going to go down. Now, what's been happening now, the new term, it's the ARMs, the adjustable rate mortgages, is you buy your home, okay, or you refi your home, and every year your mortgage is going to be changing the payment. The rates go up, it's going to go up. If the rates go down, it's going to go down. But now there's a new product. It's called a hybrid adjustable rate mortgage. Those hybrid mortgage, they work kind of like a balloon. You have a set amount. Let's say you buy a mortgage right now for 7%, and it's going to be 7% for a period of time, 7 years, 5 years, 10 years. After that period, it becomes adjustable. Okay. What's the idea? The idea is that interest rates are so high right now that everybody expects them to come down. So if you buy a home now and you can make the payments and everything is fine at 7%, everybody's hoping that in 5 years the rate will be four, will be four and a half, five. Immediately once the rate adjusts, you'll lower your payment is going to be lower. So that those are the big thing right now. Okay. Remember though that not always the rates are going to change. I mean, they're always going to change, but not necessarily going to go lower. Okay. If we see the rates right now, the rates are very similar to where they were back in 2004, 2003. Okay. So the historic national is what, 6% or so? That's usually been the historical, if I remember correctly. All
Yeah,
right.
right around there.
We're
We'll pull
just
it
a
up in a
little,
little bit, but I think it was, yeah, it's like 6.5 is the long-term average.
so we are slightly above the historical average. So they will come down, but don't expect them to come down to 3% or 2% or anything like that in some time, if they come back to that time. Okay. Cindy, did you mean a first lien HELOC or did you mean pulling a HELOC to buy a second home? Let's see if she's
So, and I think this is what she was referring to, the first lien HELOC, which is becoming very popular. There's a few guys on the internet right now that are blasting it, and really advertising it. They're selling a program where you can become quote unquote debt free, mortgage free using the HELOC. Exactly. So this is what she was talking about, and essentially it's just a combination, right? That it combines that first position and the HELOC all together, right? Just like Lewis says, all the same scenarios of a HELOC holds true in terms of that it's adjustable, in terms of that it's interest only payments for the first the revolving time. So usually most HELOCs, the ones that I've done, have a 10-year revolving period. During that first 10 years, it's like a credit card, right? You grab whatever balance, you're only paying interest, you pay the principal when you so choose when you desire to, I'm sorry. You just make interest only payments. So what it helps people do, if you're doing a first position lien, your mortgage payment theoretically drops because you're paying interest only, and it allows you to pay off other higher interest debt faster. So now you get rid of all your credit cards because your mortgage payment dropped. This is in the case of people that don't have a 3% mortgage, because a HELOC right now is like 8 or 9%. So your payment's not going to go down. And I just talked to somebody about this, and I'm like, well, you're going to give up a 3.5 rate to go get a HELOC? That does not make sense. But if you're starting from scratch, it does make perfect sense, because now your mortgage could be, principal and interest, it's up here. Well, if you're only paying interest, it's down here. To that HELOC, again, you get rid of all your car payments, your credit card, all your other debt, because you have more extra money you could send that way. Then you start attacking the principal on your HELOC, on your first lien HELOC. You start hitting it big every month. with all that extra money that you now have left over because you don't have to pay a car payment or a credit card payment or any other debt. And the idea is that you pay off that mortgage instead of in 30 years and, depending on your cash flow, obviously, 10, 15, 7 years, whatever. Everybody's income is different and everybody's availability is different. Cindy, did you have any further questions on that? In the meantime, I will throw this link in here. It gives you a lot of really good explanation on one that First Savings Bank offers. Haven't done it. It's not one that I'm using. I personally did not subscribe to that model because my mortgage rate is down here. HELOC rate would be up here. So, and I do, since I am a real estate professional, I use all the expenses in my mortgage. So I don't want to get rid of it. I actually lever up and I get more mortgages when I pay them off.
No worries.
No worries.
Now,
It's never too many questions. Keep them coming.
keep coming. Yep. And Cindy's asking, how can we speak to us and how to invest with us? Simple, right there. Okay. Or we can come into, if you go to real estate at reallifetrading.com, you'll find us there. You find us on Slack and you got the QR codes. If you have your phone, just snap it and you're going to get a contact info.
When you said right there, you weren't sharing your screen, so we didn't see anything. I don't know if you said
Oh, I'm sharing
simple.
my screen. Oh my
I'm like,
goodness.
he's pointing at
Oh my
something, but I don't see
goodness.
it. There it is, QR
There it is.
code. We
QR
do have
code.
deals from time to time, and we do have space to work with our friends' capital. So definitely reach out.
Absolutely. And if anything, like I said, real estate at reallifetrading.com. It's also our direct email. Okay. We check it pretty much twice a day or so. All right. Next question. Let me go back to chat. Cindy, she's still at 6% from long ago. She's too far into paid in full to refi, so this will allow to pay off the credit card and pay off the home and be first payment on a HELOC. Yes, that will work. That will work. If you have your 6%, just double check how much they're offering on the interest rate. Usually HELOCs are higher interest rate than regular mortgages. So sometimes it might be just do a full cash out refi and use the cash and pay out. That might work as well. If you can find something around the 6 or 7%. If I remember correctly, those HELOCs are at least 2, 3 points above regular mortgages. Okay,
So the
so
last quote I got, yeah, exactly. It's about that, Drake. I'm seeing 8 to 9% out there. Now, here's the cool part about most HELOC providers. They will usually do an introductory period. This is the case for pretty much all second position HELOC providers that I've ever worked with. They'll
mhm.
throw you a really sweet rate for 12 months, the first 12 months, sometimes 24 months. More than likely is usually 12 months. And so that does help out. Hopefully now, 12, 24 months later, rates are a little bit lower and you don't get hit with that 8.5, Drake, because that 8.5 is not that good. But it is not bad. I tell you what, I just paid off one of my HELOCs because it jumped. I got one of those special rates, so I cashed it in, and then it jumped. The regular rate was like 11 and change, almost 12%. I'm like, I'm paying this guy back.
Yeah, it basically becomes a credit card. You pay an interest rate, the ability to, take in and out money out of it, and then
There's an
after a
extra
while, after
benefit.
your period, huh?
There's an extra benefit on the HELOC over a credit card. Can you guess what it is?
Yeah, baby. Interest rate is deductible because it's a mortgage from your
Yeah.
taxes. Yes, sir.
You know how much I
Remember
love
when,
keeping my money.
yeah, remember when you have a mortgage, the interest rate on the mortgage, you can deduct it from your taxes. I'm not a CPA, consult your CPA, but that's usually the case. Okay. All righty. Next question. All right. Is now a good time to invest in real estate? Oh Lord. That's a loaded question.
That is a loaded question, but before we go on, I think we
Yes.
got a couple more here
You got
from
him,
Chris.
Copper?
That's a question. That's a question. But I'm gonna tell you in a simple answer. Yes, it's always a good
It's
time to invest in real estate.
always a good time to buy real estate. All right, let me stop the share. Let's discuss why. Why it's always a good time to buy real estate. Real estate, for the most part, they're not making any more land. Okay, land is cap is whatever we have in this planet, whatever we have in this country, whatever we have in your state, whatever we have in your county. All right. So they're not building anymore. They're not making any more land. Whatever is there at some point is going to be used, right? Obviously, it's going to be more used if you're close to, a major city than if you're in the boonies in whatever, in the desert in Arizona. However, over time, real estate always tends to go up. So even if we're on the cusp of a bubble, right? The last bubble that we have back in 2009, 2008, prices are way, way 20, 25%, some places even almost 40% the prices that were back in that bubble. All right. So what's the deal? It's always a good time to buy real estate. The main issue is you need to find real estate where the numbers make sense. If the numbers make sense, just jump on it. What do we mean by numbers make sense? You buy the home fairly enough cheap that you can fix it, you can put it for sale at the current market, and you can make a profit. Go for it. You can buy a home, you can fix it, you can rent it out, and you get cash flow coming in from that home that can pay everything, all the expenses on that home, and leave you a little bit of money just to, for your effort. For sure, go ahead, do it. What people do sometimes, though, it's what happened back in the last bubble, is that people were buying investment homes. And on those investment homes, for example, rentals, they had to put additional 300, 400 because I'm investing. Okay. The whole idea of real estate, in the sense that we do it, is for you to have certain advantage. So you to have a little bit of cash flow, for you to have enough money that if something breaks in that house, you don't have to come up from your savings, you don't have to come from the HELOC or your home. It needs to be a fully sustained entity. Okay. So exactly, no cash bleed. That's exactly right.
Cash flow, not cash bleed. It's totally different.
Exactly. So if you do find it, buy it for sure. Now, a couple of the things that we always say. Usually big cities are capped out right now. Okay. Everybody in a big city, the prices are off the roof. And if they're off the roof, then the bubble's about to go, like here in Vegas or here in Arizona, they're about to. So don't get there. We always recommend secondary and tertiary markets. We like, within an hour and a half away from a major city, where ideally you have a big hospital or you have a big industry. Or big hospital, they never close. Big industry, maybe at least two, because if one of them closes, you don't lose basically the major employer in town. Okay. Or you have a college. Kids are always going to come to college. Okay. So if it's a big college town, even better. You're going to have a nice flow of tenants in your units, or people that are going to move in, or teachers or whatever, if you want to buy and flip there. Okay, that's usually our recommendation. Yes, actually, I'm learning. I've been playing for 2 months, and I got a
Wait,
show on Sunday.
you gotta read the question. The audience
Yeah,
doesn't know what you're
he needs
talking about.
hospitals. I need to pick that base and do the slap. Do the slap base. Yeah, I started in School of Rock September. So I've never played the bass. I made some noise on the guitar, and still there. I made some noise on the guitar about 25 years ago, when I still had hair and the whole thing. And I never took it again. And then my kid said that he wanted to go in. So he got into the guitar. If you jump in, I'll jump in. Bought the guitar, and they were capped with guitar players. But they say, we have space for bass. Next thing you know, I'm picking the bass. Oh, Kevin, perfect. Son has been in School of Rock for 2 months. So he must be getting ready for the show. This is not an endorsement for School of Rock. I just love it. And it's awesome. I got my first concert on Sunday in the Hard Rock Cafe in Atlanta.
Dude,
It's
all the
awesome.
years that I've known you, I did not know you used to have long hair and used to rock out. I'm gonna need to see some videos and pictures, bro. I need to
Yeah,
see
the
you
pictures
do
were in the
some
truck.
headbanging,
Those
dude.
pictures were in the truck. I don't think I have any.
Oh no.
Yeah, I need to find out. I probably don't.
Now I really need to find those guys that stole your truck, man. That is not cool, man. Forget
Yeah,
everything. I
well,
need
I never
those
had it
back.
that long. It was kind of like my shoulders. It's very curly.
That's fairly long, dude. That's awesome, man. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun to make noise with the guitar. It was really cool. And then so just took it back again. It's part of those things that I wanted to do it, wanted to do it, wanted to do it, and boom, it's there. All right. So Hector, next question. Where do you see the market going in 2014, in 2024? 2014, we know. In 2024. So pull out your crystal ball. What's gonna happen?
Dude, for the first time ever, Amazon failed me. They did not bring my delivery with my crystal ball. So I don't
No lockers,
necessarily
no
know,
lockers.
but I could definitely share what I've been seeing in the market, what I've been hearing experts sharing in the market, and more importantly, what we kind of see bubbling up below the surface, right? So we've all seen interest rates go from 3% to 8%, down to I think it's like somewhere around 7% right now. That's where we're hovering, 7 and change. In I don't know what it's been, 12, 18 months. It's been like that. So, but we also have not necessarily seen, and Lou, you could actually I'll share it. And we haven't necessarily seen single family values drop that much. Multifamily values definitely did take a little bit of a beating. Commercial real estate in general has taken a little bit more of a bleeding, of a beating, I should say, but not residential. And we're going to stick to resi here today for the interest of the audience. And I'm going to show you guys a chart that shows what I'm talking about because we are all traders in this group. The bulk of the audience is filled with traders. So let's see. Here we go. Tell me when you guys can see that. Give me a one. Give me a one.
See it.
Okay. So this is, thank you, Tina. This is the National Home Price Index. As you guys could see, we had the dip and we bought the dip and now we're off to the races, new highs in home prices. This dip started to come in middle of last year when rates started to ramp up and go furious. It basically, the low was when rates hit their highest in the end of last year, right? You all remember us talking about this November, December of last year. Rates were pumping, the market kind of stalled out. We had the opportunity to pick up a couple of deals right around here, and then things took off again. And the market heated
Mhm.
up, rates dropped just a little bit, not a whole lot, just and then people just basically got used to the new normal. And they are buying because we have a huge home shortage in the United States, with exception to a few markets that have overbuilt. I don't know that we see a massive, massive crash. Honestly, we will see a slowdown, and I'm hoping that we see a pullback in prices because it's just normal, bigger than the one that I just showed on the screen. A slightly larger, 10 to 20% pullback would be so freaking amazing, phenomenal, and hopefully it does come. And it's going to come mostly in those areas where there's been a lot of over construction. So I was just looking actually with Yates here from the community at an area right around Sarasota, and there was so many listings. It was just like listing city everywhere, every corner. There was 3 houses for sale. But then I look at Palm Beach, Florida, and we found 4 listings in the entire thing under $700,000. So in single family. So there's just it's a tale of 2 markets, 3 markets, many markets. I believe that in 2024, the areas that have a lot of construction over the last 2 years are going to see a bigger price decline, which is an opportunity for every single one of you that is out there looking to buy and to invest, because it is going to be short-lived. It is not going to drag on forever. There's huge studies that have been done that we are still, like, I want to say is 1.5 million housing units below what we
Mhm.
need, and every year that only gets worse. So last 2 years there's been a crazy amount of construction in some areas. Now this year basically dried up again because builders are having to pay exorbitant interest rates. Next year that's probably going to be pretty slow again. So all that extra volume that we created over the last 2 years will now get dragged in and soaked up in 2024 and in 2025. So I believe that any slowdown, any pullback in the market is going to be just a simple buying opportunity. In some markets where inventory is still tight and there hasn't been a lot of new construction, I don't foresee a major pullback, just because many people are locked in, like Lewis has said, and it's going to take the three big, what was it,
The 5Ds.
retirement, death, or,
Yeah,
or
it's a diploma, death, divorce, deployment, and what was the other one? Yeah, retirement, I guess.
big major life catastrophes or opportunities are the only reason why someone would sell a property where they have a 3-4% mortgage on to only go buy one at a 7% mortgage. If they don't need to, they're staying put. And so in markets again that you don't see a lot of new constructions, like right around where we're at, we're still seeing very strong market. There's just not a lot of space for new construction. And so the houses are just continuing to go, and there's no inventory. There's like 3 listings in this entire area around here, and they
Yeah,
fly.
that's South Florida for you. South Florida is basically landlocked. If you have the ocean on one side, the Everglades on another. So either you build north or you build south. Okay. And south they're building because now all that homestead, all that area down there, it's spanning immensely. And we saw the other day that now Port St. Lucie is gonna like the fourth or fifth growth market in last year. Port St. Lucie is literally right above West Palm Beach. Okay. So they're literally building north. Okay.
Yeah, and south, like they're just exploding at the seams. And yeah, dude, Homestead is crazy. There's so much new construction going in there. Yeah, exactly, Drake. You're like, probably like 80% of homeowners, I believe. It's some crazy stats. Like a major chunk of homeowners refi, and they feel the same way that you do. Woo, that is a nice rate. 2.75. That's
No,
basically free
I
money.
won't sell.
I wouldn't sell either. I wouldn't HELOC it. I would just simply, I mean, I get a second position HELOC. I would keep that mortgage till it's over. It's basically free money at 275.
That's right.
And then at the end of the 30 years, I would ask for an extension. Hey, can we extend this for another 10 years? Can you give me some more money? Minimum payment city. Yes, sir. Yeah, I wouldn't even make extra principal payments on that
Absolutely
mortgage.
not. Absolutely not. All
That
righty.
is go for it. What else you got, Lou?
All right. Jessica asks us, how much does the Fed cutting rates affects the home market, if at all? All right. You want
Hey,
to take it? I'll take it.
go for it.
Go for it. All right. The Fed moving the rates. Basically, that's the intra-bank rates, the way the banks get the loans. Okay, get their money from the Fed. Okay, from the central bank. Then the banks have to use that money and lend it to you, right? So if those rates go up, your rate is going to go up, okay? Because the banks are there for the business of making money. They're not going to do things for cheap, or they're going to cut their, nothing. If they don't make money, they close. So their only purpose is making business. They're making money like any other business. Now, what happens if the interest go up? If their interest rates go up? Technically speaking, in a normal situation, if you're paying, let's say, $1,000 for something, and you're paying in order to get a mortgage for $1,000, just be your mortgage at 2%, you have certain amount of money. Okay, let's say for saying something 200,000. If your rate go up, now you can technically to make the same $1,000 payment, the amount that you're borrowing has to be smaller. So technically, to afford the same $1,000 mortgage payment, the price of the home that you can buy is less. Now, if that happens to everyone, then what happens with the prices? You got pressure on the prices to go down. So rates go up, prices go down. Rates go down, prices tend to go up. Now, what's happened here? It's basically the same situation that we just discussed in the last question. There's a shortage of homes. There's a shortage of homes where people want to be. So that's why people are just not moving. People locked in those rates, like Drake just did. I wouldn't move anywhere or sell that house. Maybe I'll move, but I keep the house as a rental. Okay. I will not let that house go. I will not let that mortgage go. I don't care about the house. Right. Same situation. So everybody right now, it's on the wait and see period. Everybody for the last 2, 3 years bought a nice home, dream home, whatever you want to call it, and now everybody's waiting. The rates literally jumped; they more than doubled in a matter of a year, right? So everybody is holding still, sitting on their hands, and waiting to see what happens. So what's that causing is that the amount of homes that just Hector said they're in the market, they're not there. So usually, we told you guys a few times that the healthy amount of listings, it's having a 6 months inventory of homes. We so there's some markets that barely make 3 weeks. Okay, so it's still a seller's market because people are just not selling. So the ones that decide to sell, everybody jumps into that one. Okay, so that's what happens usually when the rates go when the rates go down, markets go up. If the rates go up, prices should come down in an ideal situation, but you got additional factors, which is what we're dealing with right now.
Now, we do have a slightly weird situation and dynamic that's happening right now with everybody that's a holdup because rates are higher on their new home. So now if rates do come down and this person's like, well, I'm going to go from a 3 to a 4, 4.25, they might now consider selling that home just for the upgrade, right? It's not one of the big life-changing decisions, but now they're like, well, it's not so big a deal. I can now upgrade. Prices came down a little bit. So a drop in interest rate normally would signal, just like Lewis said, potential increase in prices like what happened in 2021. But in this crazy dynamic, who knows, Jessica? Maybe it just means that more people actually agree to sell, and we kind of, stay somewhat flat. Always remember though that it's the rate that the Fed puts out, and then the bank puts a spread based on risk. And what we saw happen last year, and the reason why right now the rates are pretty much where they were last year, even though the Fed continued to increase, it's the mortgage providers did not know where the Fed was going, so they had to get ahead of the 8 ball, and they had to create a larger spread. Where most debt providers will say, "Hey, I'll get the money from the Fed at whatever number, throw 1.5% on top of it, 150 basis points or 200 2% on top of it, and I'm good. That's a good spread." They said, we need at least a 2.5 point spread because we don't know where the Fed is going. And so that's why the rates on mortgages, residential mortgages, got there way faster than the Fed did. And on the way down, they don't always come back down on the same speed either. So it's really going to be dependent on the economy. If the banks feel like, oh man, the economy's solid, they'll start to shrink their spreads. If they feel like the Fed is dropping rates because the economy is tanking, they're probably going to keep big, thick
Keep the
spreads to
spread.
protect themselves. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Any follow-ups to that? Feel free to throw them in the chat.
Yeah, I want to do a little follow up as well. Remember, the whole idea of raising the rates, the Fed raised the rate, is to cool down the economy. So the economy has not really cooled down as much. Okay. They stopped the increase of the rates and things are still moving the same way we're moving. Okay. So again, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't foresee what's going to happen. But if the whole idea was to slow down the economy and that has not happened, the most logical thing will be for the rate for the Feds to keep increasing the rate. Now they have to be careful because if they increases the rate too hard, too fast, too much too fast, then they crash the economy. Then nobody has money for anything. Then every bubble busts, and then we're in a deep doodle like we were back in 2009. There's exactly what they're trying to avoid. Okay, so who knows
The
at this
soft
point?
landing.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. That soft landing, but we're still circling the airport. We're not landing
Yeah, no,
anything.
I fully agree with you. It is supposed to slow down, but it's still pretty steamy out there. The people are still spending money now. A lot of debt has, yeah, I was just listening, and revolving debt, right? Credit card debt is like skyrocketed this year compared,
Mhm.
to a couple years ago. So yes, people are still consuming heavily, but a lot of it is going on credit card, and so we'll see where it all goes. Honestly, I don't know, but it might come to a halting crash here pretty soon. As of right now, General consensus is that the Fed will stay still wherever they're at right now through Q1. And there's general consensus out there is that they'll probably start to tick down towards the end of next year, Q3 to
With
Q4.
selection, right? Selection year next year.
Yes, right around election time, and it is necessary for the economy not to completely crash. And if you look back historically, most of the time, economies don't take a tumble during election year because the sitting president is going to do everything that they can to prevent that. Because if the economy tanks, then more than likely it's like it's 80% probability
Yeah,
that they
they
don't
don't
get
get it.
reelected or something like that. I read the stats. I don't do the politicking thing, but it's pretty high up there. The economy is tanking on the election year. That sitting president is likely not to get reelected. So we'll see how
One
far they
thing to
kick that
consider.
can down the road.
One thing to consider.
What's the next question? Let's get past this subject.
All right, let's pass that. All right, Hector, what is a quick claim deed?
A quick claim deed. Oh man. So funny story on that one. It was one of the first definitions I ever learned when I was taking my real estate course in 2006 or 2007. And the instructor said that he had quitclaimed the deed to the moon to his wife. He quitclaimed the deed to the moon to his wife. And here's why. A quitclaim deed is essentially a way to transfer title to a property, just like a warranty deed is. The main difference is that the person doing the transfer does not necessarily have to have any rights, and they are not guaranteeing you that they have any rights over the property that they're transferring over. So the same way my instructor quitclaimed the deed to the moon to his wife, even though he had zero rights to it, a quitclaim deed simply says, hey, if I have any rights over this property, I am now relinquishing it to you, my
To
wife.
you.
In this case, he had none, so he didn't relinquish much. It was a beautiful piece of paper, a very romantic gesture.
So if I sign a quick claim deed for Disney World and ask you for 5,000 bucks, what happens? You pay me 5,000
I
bucks. You
burn
own
five thousand
Disneyland.
dollars,
All
and
right.
you go
So
to
that
Disney World on my 5 grand.
exactly. So basically, the quick claim deed does not provide any warranty that I owe anything. It's whatever rights I have about it, they're yours. So now, quitclaim deeds they're legally used for the most part, family things for divorces, things like that. All right. So whatever one of the partners decides, it's all yours. I don't care about it. And it usually happens when the same people are entitled. Meaning, for example, husband and wife are separating. One of the partners gives the right to the other partner. Usually, that happens when that partner refinances the house. Okay. Basically, is I don't know what I have. I don't know what it is, and it's yours. Now, it became a big thing in Florida about what 4 or 5 years ago, where people were signing and recording quitclaim deeds in of your house. So you all of a sudden the house is, shows that it's not yours. And they go and they notarize it and they record it. Remember, for the notary to accept the document, you have to swear that it's true. Okay, they don't need to verify anything. So as long as you swear it's true, they notarize the document, it goes into recording processes it, and then somebody after a few months realizes what happened. Okay, so it happens. It's very strange. All of a sudden, you show up, somebody else shows up entitled in your home, and they start demanding, evictions or things or money. It's complicated. All right. So if anybody wants to ever sell you a property with a quick claim deed, run the other way. Okay, that's as simple as that. Okay. And usually a title company, if you're gonna sell a home, you're gonna sell a property, land, whatever it is, you're gonna go through an attorney, real estate attorney to a title company. They will not accept a quick claim deed because the quick claim deed does not have any guarantee and you will not get insurance on that title. Okay. So next one. Hector, what can you tell Jessica about land trusts?
Land trust. That is a great question. Land trust is essentially a way of holding title to a property. The same way you could keep it in an LLC, you can keep it in your name. The trust offers a few other different layers of protections from LLCs, and obviously having it in your name offers no protection. The number one protection that it offers above an LLC is privacy. Land trust, you like an LLC in most states, there's a handful of states that you don't have to record your name, but in Florida, you can look up my LLC like this, and you'll see my name, you see my mailing address, and if I put my phone number, you'll also see it. In a trust, none of that is recorded anywhere. So if the person looks up that address, who owns this? It says, the 123 Main Street Land Trust. That's it. There is no way to go find out who that trust
Belongs to.
beneficiary is.
Yeah, beneficiary.
Now, yeah, beneficiary. Now, the other thing about trust, most of them are, by the way, they're living trusts. So anything could be changed while, the person who created it, the benefactors are alive. And the other cool part about land trust, it allows the change of ownership between family members or spouses, like Louis said, very easy. Because if I create a land trust, the property is owned by 123 Main Street Land Trust, just like I said, and I now have a kid. Currently the beneficiary for that trust is myself and my wife. I have a kid, I add them as a beneficiary. Something happens to my wife and I, nothing has to happen with the property. It belongs to the trust. Who is the beneficiary in the trust? Well, mom and dad, well, they're gone. Well, now the kid is left. So it makes that transfer so seamless. And there is some tax implications. We're not CPAs, consult your tax accountant for that. But it does have that really cool layer for estate planning. And so a lot of wealthy individuals will use as part of their estate planning land trust, as well as some investors, they do that as well. There's a few other cool things that you could use land trust for. For instance, let's say Louis owns 50 acres. I approach him and I go, hey, Louis, let me not buy that 50 acre from you. Let's put that 50 acres in a land trust, and I'm going to execute business plan XYZ within that land trust. And if I don't, within 3 years, that land trust reverts right back to you. And everything is spelled out. Our partnership is spelled out in that agreement, and no one but Louis and I can change that agreement. And so it's also a very powerful tool for partnerships and it's been used across the board by many farmers who want to exit the land that they own, but they don't want to just sell the land at whatever land value is. They want to participate in whatever the developers or the investors are going to do. And that's one way for them to do it, is using a land trust. Few other cool benefits, but those are some of the ones that I think stand out the most, Jessica, that I like the most about it.
Next question, Hector. What's a syndication? I throw you a fastball so you can throw it out the park. Go.
Oh, I caught that one. A syndication. That's a fairly simple answer. A syndicate is a group that comes together for a single purpose. They come together for a single purpose and they combine resources. So in this case, Louis is asking, what is a real estate syndication? Is a group investment where two parties come together, the active managers who say, hey, we have a certain amount of expertise in this particular kind of deal. We got this deal. And they approach the passive investors to come in and provide the capital required for that deal. The managers run with it, they execute it, and they share profits with, if there is any profits, they also share losses with their investors, if there is any losses. So in a nutshell, a syndication is a group investment where people come together for a single purpose. Doesn't have to be a single property, just a single purpose, a single business plan.
All right. So in a
the big
sense,
world of banking, sometimes banks, I'm sorry, Lou, banks also syndicate their loans when it's a big loan. So a syndicate could be used for many things, but in this case, it's for buying properties, what it's referring to.
all right, now to ask you a follow-up questions. So let's say, and that's one of the things that we discussed, a few years, probably, yeah, last year. Let's say I have three investors, okay? And I got, somebody with 100 grand, somebody else with 100 grand, somebody else with 100 grand, and I have 300 grand, we're going to buy a home. Why will I want to syndicate instead of, just taking the money as it is? What's their protection for that, or what's my protection for that?
Okay, so what you're saying is if you just take the money from a couple of your friends instead of creating a syndication. Okay, so now that's called a JV, right? Well, here's the thing. A real JV requires all partners to be active in the business. So if you
JV
have
is a
partner,
joint venture. It's
a joint
technically
venture.
it's called a joint venture. All right.
So
So
now we could all create a small group, right? Just the same to buy the very same property. Now in a joint venture, the true joint venture, the way that the SEC requires is that all partners be active. So the moment that you have a passive partner who's only putting up capital, you should be doing a syndication, not a joint venture.
there you that was the answer I wanted. So if I want
Not
to
an
take the money
attorney,
from
but
everybody, yeah.
not
So I
an
want to take
attorney,
some money from
consulting attorney.
someone to buy a house, and just go away and go to the beach. Send you your money. Don't do anything. I cannot take it with two partners. More than two partners, I cannot make it because everybody needs to be a an active participant on the transaction.
Now, that is if they are providing equity. If they are providing debt, no problem. They could just sign, you could just do debt. A promissory note is just a commercial
There
loan.
you go.
And so long as you're not doing a bunch of these every year, you're okay not to have to create a syndication for it, according to attorneys out there that I've heard. And again, I'm not an attorney. But my attorney has beat me over the head multiple times with the other, information. So I've heard it a time or two.
Jessica, as a newer trader, was it looking a trader or we doing real estate? As a new trader, what exactly am I looking for when I evaluate each trade? That's a big loaded answer, and you need to take the free courses in reallifetrade.com. Come to real life
Yes, the
trading,
beginner.
take to the courses. Okay, now if we're talking about real estate, okay, what exactly am I looking for in real estate? I'm looking for a home that I can add value. I can force the value into it, all right? Either for sell it or for rent or something. Now, value not necessarily means that you have to make physical improvements. Is you can fix a legal situation. You can fix somebody else's problem. So usually when a house or an owner has a problem in their house, make it legal, make it physical, make it their problem, economic, whatever it is, usually those homes sell for a reduced price. Okay. So you find a property with a problem, you buy the property at a discount price, you fix the problem, and you either resell it or rent it or keep it or do whatever you want with that property. So that's what you need to look for. Usually those properties, you can find them on the MLS, you can find it for sale by owner, you can find foreclosures, you can find all kinds of things. But those properties, usually, if you decide to purchase, they have to be at a discounted price. Now, the question becomes how much of a discount, right? It depends on the problem. It depends on your capacity to fix it. It depends on the market. So now, again, real estate is completely localized, So what I'm talking you here in Florida might not work somebody else in Washington State. But usually we try when you are done with the project, meaning you bought the property, you fix the property, and the property is ready in the market, your cost should be no more than 70% of the retail price, which is called the 70% ARV, after repair value. Okay, so you can make that. You make the house sells for 500,000. 70% of 500,000 should be what, 350, somewhere around there. The total cost of that house with all the improvements, with all the things, with you pay the lease, you fix code enforcement, you move the people that were living there, you evicted someone, you pay attorneys, you pay utilities, you did everything, you put insurance, because remember that's also important. Everything should be that 70%. Okay. Now from there, you decide to rent it. Now from there, you decide to sell it. Now from there, you want to do Airbnb. You want to move into it, whatever it is. Try to always stay below that 70%. Okay. And that's the challenge. That's why not everybody does real estate investment, because sometimes it's hard to find those properties. You're looking for a needle in a haystack. So either you look in a smaller haystack or you try to find another haystack that has more needles and you pick yours up. That's basically it.
I like that. More needles. That's kind of dangerous, though. I'd rather the
That's,
smaller haystack.
yeah.
I'll answer that question slightly different. When I am looking for real estate, I am looking for opportunity. I am looking for opportunity to force appreciation, or I am looking for opportunity to make cash flow. One of the two, or the two combined, home run. Thanks, Chris. We appreciate you being here. Any blessings to you as well. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. But we are not closing up yet. We got one more question, Lou. What does it mean when a property has good bones? And this will probably be the final question for today as we are running towards the end of the show. That will be the final question. Go.
All right.
Good bones.
Good bones. All right. Those are my favorite homes. Those homes where you can fix by doing lipstick on a pig. What do I mean by that? A house that has good bones is a house that's structurally sound, has no structural problems. You don't have to add a room, you don't have to add a bathroom, you don't have to fix up a garage, you don't have to do a roof, you don't have to do any other things. You come in, you put lipstick, and you go get with it. So what do I call about lipstick? Paint inside, paint outside, fix the yard, maybe do a kitchen, maybe redo the bathrooms, okay? Maybe replace the AC, but it's stuff that can be done really quick, okay? So if it's a house that has, problems with the foundation, uh-uh. If it's a house that
That's a
has
broken bone. That's a broken back.
major termites, ah, if it's a house that, I don't know, something caved in, it's something that you can come in, do aesthetically what do you call it? I don't know. Basically, yeah,
Make
lipstick.
it pretty.
Cosmetics.
Make it pretty.
Cosmetic. Make it look
Yeah,
pretty.
and so for the most part, it's a home where, like Lewis said, all the structure, everything is nice and sound, and you are just upgrading and making it prettier and bringing it, to current market standards. Maybe the carpet's purple, and in the area now it's gray carpet instead of purple. Maybe it has those ugly green shutters in the front, and you take them off or you paint them a different color. Something nice, simple that you can get in without having to make heavy adjustments to the physical layout of the property. That's typically what I would consider good bones. If I'm just opening up a little chunk of the kitchen the wall, that's not a big deal. I'd still take that. That's the lip liner
Uh-huh.
on the lipstick that Lewis likes to put.
Yeah, for
All
example,
right, guys.
properties that require a whole bunch of windows replaced. I'm not sure, because I mean, I guess in Florida you need permits and impact windows and hurricane stuff, and it takes a long time. So it's like I kind of tend to walk away, not walk away, but not look too interested in those. Uh, Remember, the whole idea of investing is the speed of the money. So if you're gonna make your project and you're gonna fix it and you have to put it for sale, it has to be in the market. You have to find a buyer. You still need to, close on it. So the faster you do the transaction, the faster you get paid. So the faster you get paid, you want something that ideally does not have as many physical issues that you can have to deal with. Okay. So that's basically the good bones.
And that is the final episode of the year. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all so much for bringing your questions. This has been a great session. We always appreciate when there's participation, when there's questions. It makes us feel good about delivering value. That's what we're all about here, our real life trading. And that's what Louis and I love to do. Louis, if you want to pop up that final slide, we're going to say goodbye and close it out. Remind you all that
Boom.
we will be around. This is the final, just because on the dates, the next date that we would have a show, the real life trading is closed. So this is the final show for the year, but it does not mean we are going away. That is how you get a hold of us. QR codes are back. And reallifetrading.com/RE, real estate at reallifetrading.com. We love you so much. Have a great year. Happy holidays to all of you. May 2024 be filled with prosperity, love, and everything you wish for.